In New York, everything moves fast paced. That's especially the sports scene. Welcome back, everyone. Mozarsky Memo 21, New York State of Mind. I'm going to get these out once a week over break and just going forward on all these New York sports. Today, we're talking football, baseball, and hockey. I'm not doing any NBA today just because there's not that much going on still early in the season. Hockey, these teams are reeling, but we'll talk about it in a second. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about in the New York sports scene. I'm going to keep this one under 20 minutes, but let's start with the NFL. Where on Sunday, the New York Jets won on a Sunday for the first time since week 2, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 32 to 25 at TIAA Bank Stadium or whatever you call it now. Jets moved to 4 and 10, their first win on the road since Jesus Christ, week 2. Aaron Rodgers 16 for 30, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Adams leading the team, receiving 9 receptions, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, all coming in the second half. And look, I could read all these stats in what is a lost season for the Jets, but let's talk about a few of the milestones that happened. First opening drive touchdown of the season. It's week 15. First win on Sunday since week 2, like I just said. It's week 15. First Sauce Gardner interception since week 10 of 2022. It is week 15 of 2024. These are all milestones that are huge for this New York Jets team, even though it's a lost season and they're going to miss the playoffs for the 14th straight year, longest drought in American sports. It's nice to get a victory, though. You got to be happy for the players inside that locker room, like Aaron Rodgers, like Devontae Adams, like Garrett Wilson, who's hurting after every loss. Brees Hall was on a pitch count. He was fine. The defense, Quincy Williams, Quinnen Williams, Jamie Sherwood, these guys bust their ass off every week. And the Jets find a way to lose a football game every week. And the main reason for this is coaching. You got to be happy with them that they won this game. Let's talk about a few macro things. I could talk about the micro all I want for this Jets win, but they won a game. Let's start with draft position. Look, I'm sure a lot of fans would be upset over this. The Jets beating the Jaguars. There are two teams that are going to be at the top of the draft now. Jaguars 3 and 11, Jets 4 and 10. Jets probably won't get one of the top two quarterbacks in Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. Yeah, look, is it going to make a difference in the long run? If Cam Ward and Shador Sanders become an absolute stud and the Jets lose out, yeah, it'll make a difference. But you really can't look at it that way. Draft position is what it is. I think even with the loss, the New York Jets would not have gotten one of these two quarterbacks in what is a top-heavy quarterback class with Sanders and Ward. The New York Giants and Las Vegas Raiders are both going to lose out. They're both going to get them, and we'll talk about the Giants in a second. But speaking about the quarterback, do the New York Jets run it back with Aaron Rodgers? Let me just read out a few stats very fast. From weeks 1 through 7, Aaron Rodgers had 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, QB rating under 70. Since week 8, so going back to October 27th against the Patriots, Aaron Rodgers has 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, that interception a pick 6 against the Seattle Seahawks, and then QB rating over 100. In the past 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers has been great. Threw for 300 yards for the first time since 2021 against the Miami Dolphins on December 8th. Then on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, threw for 289, 3 touchdowns. Ratings over 100 in both, probably his two best games of the season. Apparently, Rodgers has been dealing with a hamstring injury this season that's held him back. And even though that's a little irresponsible, what do you expect from the guy? He's been really good lately. Do the New York Jets run it back with Aaron Rodgers? My thoughts, yes, if these three things happen. The new GM and new coach want him first, right? The Jets are interviewing GMs. They interviewed former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff yesterday. They're going to get Louis Riddick too in the building. They're going to do a lot. They have On 33 helping them with their GM search and head coaching search. The New York Jets are trying to get the right guys in the building. They've swung and missed so many times. But if these guys, whoever they hire as their coach and GM, whether it's Louis Riddick, whether it's Dimitroff, head coaching, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, any of these guys, I'm not going to name them all because it's pointless. If they want Aaron Rodgers in the building, that's one reason. Two, if he's healthy and wants to be here. And everything shows that Aaron Rodgers wants to be here. He says it in his press conferences. He doesn't see this as a one-time thing. And if Devontae's here, yeah, those two want to play together. And three, he cannot defer the New York Jets' plans. Aaron Rodgers being here is not an excuse not to draft a quarterback. Yeah, I just said the Jets aren't going to get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, and I fully believe that. There are other quarterbacks that will go in the late first round, early second round, later rounds. Jalen Milroe, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart. Drew Aller decided to stay in school, but he was one of them. If Aaron Rodgers is on the roster, still draft a quarterback because the Jets need a long-term answer, and Aaron Rodgers is not that. The reason why you bring Aaron Rodgers back, look, the New York Jets are 4-10. The season's lost. They've been an absolute disaster this year, and I've come on Mozarsky memos and said bad teams find ways to lose football games. The reason they lose these football games is coaching, and a lot of it's the defense, especially if you're looking at the past 8 weeks where the Jets have lost 8 out of 10, right? Steelers, they gave up 37 points. Patriots, game-winning drive led by Jacoby Brissett. Cardinals, 3 touchdown drives by Arizona to open the game. Colts, Anthony Richardson, 270-plus yard touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, right? Seahawks, that's the offense. The Dolphins, the defense let them drive down the field. And the Jaguars, yeah, they scored points. The Jets won the game, though. And Jets have had a lead in the final minute of 5 of their last 7 games. You can't blame that on Rodgers and the offense. A lot of it's coaching. Jeff Ulbrich has not done a good job, and this coaching staff hasn't done a good job. So that's a case to bring back Rodgers because he's been fine. And if there's no other option, I'm not opposed to it. But here's why they shouldn't. The New York Jets need all the distractions out of the building, and Aaron Rodgers in himself is a distraction, right? He hasn't been great this season. He's been playing through injuries, and I understand that, but you can't bring him back. Sign a bridge quarterback, sign someone else, draft someone. You need some sort of foundation. Look at what the Denver Broncos did, right? Russell Wilson was not good for them. They got rid of him, $49 million cap it. They ate it. Drafted Bo Nix, put him with an offensive coach in Sean Payton, pieces all around him, good offensive line, good defense that actually helps the team stay in the game. Broncos are a playoff team right now. So I see both sides, but I'm on the side of don't bring back Rodgers. But regardless of whether Aaron Rodgers is here, Davante Adams should be back as a New York Jet. 9 receptions, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Could have had more. Dropped a touchdown too. He should be a New York Jet regardless. Because if you pair Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams, that's one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. I understand that Davante Adams is past his prime. He was great on Sunday. He's caught 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Look at his last 6. He has under 60 receiving yards and only one of them against Arizona, where the entire offense was bad. Houston, 91 yards, a touchdown. Indianapolis, 72 yards. Seattle, 66 and a touchdown. Miami, 109 and a touchdown. Jacksonville, 198 and 2 touchdowns. Davante Adams is past his prime. He's still a damn good receiver, and whoever's under center for the Jets, you're not finding better weapons than Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, both of who are on pace to eclipse 1,000 yards this season at a 17-game pace. Davante's at 860 right now. He might not. The biggest thing with Davante Adams, he carries a $38 million cap hit the next 2 seasons, but everybody in the league knows he's not going to get that value, and the New York Jets are the first to go, okay, we'll renegotiate you. And Davante Adams said it in his first press conference as a Jet, right? He wants to be, or he never said he wants to be here. Let me rephrase. He doesn't come somewhere thinking it's a one-stop destination. He thinks he's going to stay. And I think he will want to stay and they'll work something out. And last, my last New York Jets take before I move on. If Robert Saleh is the current head coach, the New York Jets are 8-6 or 7-7. Yeah, I fully believe that. Is that saying Robert Saleh is a good head coach? No, I do not think he's a great head coach. But if you kept Saleh there, keeping those decisions, Jeff Ulbrich has made a lot of bad decisions as New York Jets head coach. If you kept him as defensive coordinator, I don't think the New York Jets give up as many game-winning drives, like against the New England Patriots, like against the Miami Dolphins, Indianapolis Colts. I think this defense is the defense you saw in 2022 and 2023 with stars up and down the lineup. Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, Quincy Williams, CJ Mosley's been hurt, whatever. Jeff Ulbricht's been spread way too thin, and coaching, you see it over and over again. They lose these teams football games, and that's huge. If Robert Saleh's there, I genuinely think the New York Jets are 8-6 or 7-7. I think they win that Miami game. I think they win the Seattle game. I think they win the Indianapolis game, and I think they win the New England game probably. And so, look, was it Robert Saleh's time to go? Probably, but not after week 5 when you're 2-3, especially when your 3 losses, by the way, came against the San Francisco 49ers, who made the Super Bowl last year, the Denver Broncos, who are 9-5 and a playoff team, and the Minnesota Vikings, who are 12-2. So it really doesn't make sense. And so the New York Jets have made a lot of bad decisions. It's around coaching, and they'll probably run it back next year, but should Aaron Rodgers come back? We'll see. Moving on, New York Giants lost 35 to 14 against the Baltimore Ravens at home. Giants moved to what, 2 and 12 on the season? Jesus Christ. They're 0 and 8 at home. The New York Rangers, who have lost 10 out of 13, have had a win at MetLife Stadium more recently. I think you could sum up the Giants season by this, right? Or even Brian Dable's tenure. 2 years ago, the Giants beat the Ravens in MetLife Stadium. They camera panned to Brian Dable. He was happy, all that stuff. You go to this Sunday, Justice Hill opens the game with a 60-yard kickoff return. Lamar Jackson had more touchdowns than incompletions. Dable's time is coming up. Joe Shane's time is coming up. You saw it with the plane flying over the stadium. Fire Shane, fire Dable. There's not that much to say. The Giants are a bad football team. They've lost what, like eight straight now. They get blown out in every game. Bad, bad, bad. I don't have anything else. There's hope for the New York Giants because assuming they lose out, which I would be very, very surprised if they do unless they pull an elephant out of a hat at the Atlanta Falcons versus the Colts at the Eagles. They will get the number one pick in the draft or the number two pick. They'll have their pick of Shador Sanders and Cam Ward, and then you get a new foundation. You pair him with a new head coach in anybody. I think the Giants will have the pick of the litter. I think it's an attractive job. You pick him with a new GM, and you just go to work from there. You have pieces. Malik Neighbors, yeah, he's a little bit of a diva, but he's a damn good receiver. A lot of it came in garbage time the other day. And I understand that, but Malik Neighbors, 10 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. He's almost over 1,000 yards on the season. He's fourth in the NFL with 90 receptions. He's not going anywhere. You have pieces on defense. Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns. Your secondary's not good, but you'll figure it out. But then if you get the quarterback, that's the biggest problem. The New York Giants are last in the NFL in points per game at 14.9. Second to last is the New England Patriots at 17. Oh my God, that's a terrible stat. Giants are, well, fourth to last in the NFL in yards per game. Regardless of who's been at quarterback, the offense has not worked. Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, even on Sunday. It's not going to work. If you got a quarterback, you could solve all these problems. Look at the rookie quarterbacks this year: Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, even Caleb Williams early on in the season. They came in and made these offenses better. And that's what you need if you're the New York Giants. And I'll leave it at that because you have some pieces and we'll get it done. But there's my NFL recap and just a few burning questions there. Moving on, MLB winter meetings were last week. I did a whole Mets memo on Juan Soto, and I'll talk about the Mets in a second, but let's talk about the New York Yankees first, who since losing superstar in Soto, if you're even going to call it that, it's hard to say losing. He was there for a year. The Yankees went all out for him. It didn't work. They have done a great job pivoting and into plan B. It starts with getting or not superstar, star pitcher Max Fried at a 7-year, $218 million deal. Fried sub 3 ERA in his career. Hasn't been great in the playoffs, but he's a damn good pitcher. And you pair him with Garrett Cole, Luis Hill, Clark Schmidt, Carlos Rodon. Great, great rotation. And Fried, look, when he's healthy, I do think he's a top 15 pitcher in baseball. So you start with that. And then you trade Nestor Cortez, who was on his way out, and prospecting Caleb Durbin to the Milwaukee Brewers, and you get Devin Williams, who's a top five closer in baseball. Look, a lot of Mets fans remember Williams because of Pete Alonso's home run. Williams was on the side of giving it up. Devin Williams' airbender pitch is one of the best in baseball, and the Yankees continue to pivot, and they're doing a great job at that. Look, is Williams going to be here long term? Probably not. The back end of the Yankees, their bullpen with Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, it might be one of the best in the league. Look, they still have a lot of needs, but Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner have done a great job since losing out on Soto. They've come with a plan B. I think they're going to get Cody Bellinger. It sounds like the Yankees and Cubs are very close to a trade. And if they do get Bellinger, you're getting a guy who 2 years ago won a Silver Slugger. He bat over 300. Last year in 130 games, he bat over 260. You plug him into the top of the lineup, short porch in Yankee Stadium. I really, really like that for him. Former NL MVP. And then you have a few other people that are possible too, right? Pete Alonso, maybe. Christian Walker at first base, going to get around 100 million. Alex Bregman's a target. Nolan Arenado's a target. So the Yankees have a lot of ways to go. I think they've done a great job. Look, losing Juan Soto sucks. And it sucks losing him to your crosstown rival in the Mets. Like I said last week, it's a seismic move in MLB history and New York sports history. Sort of like little brother taking one of the best players in baseball from Big Brother. You're not going to get over that. But they've done a great job in free agency, readdressing this baseball team and pitching, pitching, pitching. Because look, Yankees pitching has been their downfall so many times over the past few years, and now you have a really good rotation. Look, Cole and Fried have not been great in the playoffs, but until you get there, you have a very good lineup and rotation, and you still have the best hitter in baseball in Aaron Judge, arguably. So look, the Yankees have done a great job, and I really want to say that. The Mets, on the other hand, yeah, I did a whole memo on Juan Soto, so I'm not going to go too much into that. What I am going to do very fast about Soto is just address a few things that I saw on Twitter about him or about people trying to cope with the signing, right? People saying he's a terrible right fielder and bad base runner. He leads the league in on base percentage, best in the Statcast era. 41 home runs. Like, what? What are you going to do there? He's a top five player in baseball. Crazy overpay. The Mets had to overpay for him. Anybody had to overpay for him. The Yankees would too if they gave him a $16, $760 million contract. Steve Cohen's the richest owner in baseball, fine paying the luxury tax. The Mets for years have had to suffer with the Wilpons being stingy and cheap. And now you get Steve Cohen, and that's a seismic move. No lineup protection. I don't know what people are talking about there. You have Francisco Lindor batting ahead of him. And then after Juan Soto, you're getting Mark Vientos, who had 27 home runs and 71 RBI in 3 quarters of a season. Had one of the best postseasons out of any Met. Clutch over and over again, probably batting three. Brandon Nimmo had 90 RBIs last season. He'll probably bat four. They might get Pete Alonso back. I actually think they do. That becomes a really good lineup. And last, people saying the Dodgers are still better. Yeah, I mean, there's no way around that. There was no move in the MLB this season or off season, excuse me, that would have made the Los Angeles Dodgers not the favorite. The New York Jets or New York Mets getting Juan Soto made them as close to dethroning the Dodgers as any team can be. Does this make the New York Mets 1B compared to the New York Dodgers, compared to the Los Angeles Dodgers 1A? Sorry. No, it doesn't. I think there's still teams that are probably better than the Mets, like the Atlanta Braves, maybe the Philadelphia Phillies, maybe the San Diego Padres, but it puts the Mets up there because how many other teams in baseball can you go, we have two top 10 players, we have two MVP candidates? Does this mean the New York Jets or New York Mets are a perfect team? Absolutely not. They still need pitching, right? They got Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes, which is typical David Stearns. Go for Walker Buehler. Go for Roki Sasaki. Even though I think Sasaki ends up with the Dodgers, they still have some other things they got to do. Maybe Corbin Burns, but probably not. There's a lot of needs, but you got to be happy for the Mets because you got the biggest free agent and the biggest contract in professional sports history. So be happy with that. If I had to rank early free agency for both teams, Mets A plus, you got Juan Soto. You're pretty much done. They have so many other moves to make, but getting Juan Soto, A plus, great immediately. Yankees, B, because losing Soto sucks. Losing him to the Mets sucks. They've done a great job pivoting. And last, NHL, the New York Rangers and New York Islanders are tied with 31 points this season. But the vibes with these teams are really, really different. Look, the Islanders, 7 overtime losses in 30 games or something like that, 26 games. They might slip into the playoffs if they do this because of the overtime point, and they do it every year. The Rangers have lost 10 out of 13, won the President's Trophy last season. I write for the Rangers on Blue Line Station. It sucks covering them right now. Yeah, these teams have different vibes. Let's start with the Islanders. Will the Islanders make the playoffs? No. They can, though, if they slip in because of these overtime points, and they have one of the better goalies in the league in Ilya Sorokin. But let me just spit a little intuition of why the Islanders won't. Their core, yeah, it's fine. Anders Lee, Kyle Palmieri, Bo Horvat, Brock Nelson, it's good. Matt Barzal has been hurt, and the Islanders have stayed above water. They are not a good special teams team. Worst power play and worst penalty kill in the league. Yeah, they've taken the least penalty kill minutes in the league. They're not good at special teams, and special teams make or break these teams. Look at the New York Rangers, have been average at 5v5 since the Henrik Lundqvist era, but good special teams and good goaltending carries them. Sorokin hasn't been great this season either. They average less than 3 goals a game. There's a lot of flaws. The Metropolitan Division is better. Right now, I'd still say the Rangers are better. The Washington Capitals better. The New Jersey Devils are better. The Carolina Hurricanes are better. The Philadelphia Flyers might be better. So the Islanders, yeah, a lot's going their way, but they could slip in because of these overtime losses. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. They play the Hurricanes tonight. Look, it's early on, still a lot to be figured out about these teams. And if this core of Lee, Horvat, Nelson, Barzell, when he comes back, plays well, then they always have a chance. I just don't see it happening, especially with how good the Metro is. And that's the problem with the New York Rangers, whose core is absolutely plateauing. And I mean everyone. Even Artemi Panarin, who's averaging over a point per game, had a 120 career high last year. But let's take Panarin out of it. Miko Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Adam Fox, Vincent Trocheck, this Rangers core has been bad. They have not been good. There's no going around it. They've lost 10 out of 13. They haven't been good at 5v5. They haven't gotten the power play opportunities in order to redeem that. Their goaltending, whether it is the highest paid goalie in NHL history in Igor Shesterkin or Jonathan Quick, who they brought back on a 1-year deal, They haven't been able to make the saves to keep Rangers in the game. And now that you lost 10 out of 13 and you're already pretty much close to your loss total from last year, which is crazy because we're almost halfway to the season, the New York Rangers have been bad. And the one thing I will say about this, until proven otherwise, this is what the New York Rangers are. They are a hockey team that is not bad. They still have the talent. And I said they were bad on Twitter, and I might go delete that tweet, honestly, but other teams caught up to them, and you see this. The core is not motivated. If you look at the Metropolitan Division, three teams: Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, Washington Capitals. All saw the Rangers soar last year, made huge moves in the offseason, and caught up to the Rangers. The Rangers are 0-3 against these teams. Are not only 0-3 against these teams, they got viciously outplayed against all three of these teams. Look at other teams that the Rangers are getting beat by. They're faster, they're hungrier, and all this stuff. And the Rangers have usually been able to beat some of this stuff because of their elite goaltending and elite special teams, but they're not getting special teams opportunities and their goalies aren't making the saves. How do you solve the New York Rangers? You might be firing Peter Laviolette, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff that players are more upset with general manager Chris Drury. There's got to be some sort of accountability. Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider were on the fourth line the other day for the Rangers. They still lost. Scored two goals against St. Louis to make it a 3-2 game, sort of respectable. No, the Rangers have lost 10 out of 13. They play against Nashville tonight, so we'll see what happens. But I'm going to leave it at that. They're reeling right now. And the Islanders are sort of plateauing like they usually do. Rangers are reeling, and I will leave it at that. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Mozarsky Memos, a rare New York football team win with the New York Jets. Baseball, we got free agency, reeling hockey teams. I'll talk some basketball next week. Gonna get some more content on the way. But thank you so much for listening. Follow, subscribe, tell your friends, whatever you need to do.